Becoming a magician takes thousands of hours. Right, Ashley?
Oh, I'm not a magician. I'm a design specialist at the Container Store.
But you transform closets and pantries.
Well, I turn your most frustrating spaces into ones you love.
With a magic wand?
With Alpha, our customizable, adjustable, and affordable shelving and drawer system.
The amazing Ashley! Making daily frustration disappear.
Just doing my job.
Transform your space with Alpha and save 20% on purchases over $500. Get started with your free design at the Container Store today.
It used to be hard to find the exact auto parts you needed, and that meant spending a lot of time at swap meets. It's a different game now when you can order exactly what you need from eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts, so you can always find the right fitment. Spend less time searching and more time building with the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Good morning, Sports Ethos fans, and welcome to another edition of DFS Today. This is your Friday, January 7th edition. I am your host, Santino Cacone, and I am joined by the Friday night special himself, Mr. Dave Menkoff. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to jump into this large slate. Very exciting times. Fantasy is up and running, and I'm pumped to jump on another Friday night slate with you.
Yeah, the last time we did this, it was New Year's Eve. So now it's our first podcast together in the year 2022, and I am ready to jump into this with you too, man. It's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely.
Yep, and we got a big 9-game slate for you guys here, with first games tipping off at 7, and then the last game, 2 of them tipping off at 10. But without further ado, let's get right into this. First game on the docket, man, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who have just been hit with COVID, and the Philadelphia 76ers, who were hit hard. This one tips off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do not have a spread for this one as of yet, but on the injury report, we have Danny Green, Isaiah Joe, Devontae Cacok, Lonnie Walker the fourth as questionable, Tyrese Maxey, Shake Milton, Reed Paul, Ben Simmons, Jaden Springer, Zach Collins, Keldon Johnson, Doug McDermott, Devin Vassell, Derek White, and Thaddeus Young all out as of right now. And yes, that is the injury report for both teams. I just ran away with it quick, trying a new thing. But I'll throw it over to you, man. With everybody out on the Spurs side of the ball, what are you looking at over here? And we see Lonnie Walker questionable. He cleared protocols, but he might not be back for conditioning. I'm assuming if he is back, he's going to start. But if he's not, a lot of holes in this lineup. What are you looking at?
Yeah, you touched on it. I mean, it's a who's who of core protocols. I mean, we can start with the highest priced studs, and that's DeJounte Murray at 9,600 is going to be an absolute smash play here. With all these guys out, his usage is going to be sky high. I mean, there's a huge opportunity for upside. Coming off a 56-point effort, fantasy point effort against the Celtics, I have a lot of interest in Giannis in this matchup against the Sixers, just with all these guys out. You also touched on Lonnie Walker. If he clears protocols and his conditioning is ramped up and he's ready to go, the full allotment of minutes at 4,100, he's also going to be a great play here. And then the final guy I'm looking at is going to be the guy that went off a few weeks ago, and that's Keita Bates Diop. And he's at 3,700, should get 25, 30 minutes just because of just availability of the Spurs roster. So he's another guy that I'm looking at. And then the final, probably going to be the final value play here is going to be Trey Jones, 3,600. If he ends up playing some decent minutes, that's a great price tag as well. So all three of those guys, starting with DeJounte Murray, are going to be squarely in play for me. What about you? Who are you looking at on this COVID-filled Spurs team?
Yeah, and I'm very aligned with you. Murray, we know he can rebound. We know he is a playmaker. We know he racks up steals. And now that we have so many people out, there's a lot of extra shots for him to go around as well. And he's already done. He already takes about a good amount of shots per game anyway, but now we can add 4 or 5 more possibly. So I really like him at 9,600 even in a tough matchup. You mentioned Lonnie Walker at 4,100. If he's ready to go and he can play 30 minutes, he's going to be playing as many minutes as he can handle at 4,100. A lot of shots for him as well. You mentioned Diop. He's probably going to start in this one. I love him at 3,700 as well. A lot of minutes to go around there. Then there's Primo, Forbes, and Trey Jones. I like them more as a trio if Walker is out. Then multiple of those guys are going to start. And again, a lot more playing time. There's just minutes for everybody. But out of the upside players of those three, I don't really think Bryn Forbes is really huge upside. Primo's okay, but I'm with you. I like Trey Jones. I'm very in line with you. I like the same 4 guys, and we'll see what happens depending on Lonnie Walker's availability. But jumping on over to the other side of the ball, we have the Sixers. Joel Embiid at 11.2. That's a big, hefty price tag. Not really interested in going here for me with Pirtle on the other side of the ball. He is one of the better rim protectors and paint protectors in the league. And at 11.2, I think we can wait with all these options in a 9-game slate. But I'm looking more so at a Tobias Harris with all the people out, especially a Keldon Johnson and whatnot. The matchup's going to get a lot better. Under 8K is not too pricey for me. Maxey is looking like he's out. Middleton looking like he's out. Danny Green might not play. Matisse Thybulle at 3,700 coming back. That looks really good to me. Seth Curry at 6,100 might be the starting point guard on this team. That looks really good to me. So I'm going more for the value plays here, mid-tier and value play. And maybe Gorgeous Nang if he starts this one, or Korkmaz at 5-1. I think there's a lot of value on this side of the ball with the people out instead of going to Embiid. What are you looking at over here?
Yeah, when it comes to the Sixers, I mean, it's interesting. I actually like Embiid here. I think he should put up a monster bounce-back performance against the Spurs front court. Assuming this game stays close, I actually like Embiid 11,200. I think he should be able to smash. Coming off a rare 5-rebound effort against the Orlando Magic, I think he's going to be an absolute beast on the boards. So I actually do like him. And then you mentioned Seth Curry coming off one of his probably career high night, if I'm not mistaken, a season high night. Apologies for Seth Curry, 12 assists in his last game going up against the Magic. He's a playmaker. They don't have point guards right now, so I do like Seth Curry, 100 as well. Those are the 2 guys I'm looking at, and then I'm going to sprinkle in some Furkan Korkmaz as well. He's been playing really well, inspired basketball recently. So I do like him. He's getting plenty of minutes, playing between 35 and 40 minutes a night. At 5,100, there's still some value there. And I think if he gets hot in a game which is all the opportunities to play well, I like that trio quite a bit. And that's pretty much it for me on the Sixers side of the ball.
All right, nice. I like it. Let's jump on over to the next game of the night. We have at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have a big one. The Milwaukee Bucks traveling to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. On the injury report for this one, we won't have Joe Harris and we won't have Kyrie Irving because it's a home game. On the Bucks side, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, DeMarcus Cousins, Dante DiVincenzo, George Hill, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, all out. And Giannis is listed as probable. I'll throw it over to you, my friend. On the Bucks side of the ball, what are you looking at? And without Giannis, or without Holiday, Allen, DiVincenzo, Connaughton, Hill, who's going to draw the start at point guard?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I mean, can we put in Giannis at point guard at this point? I mean,
I think that's what they're probably going to do, something weird like that.
Right. I mean, there's not many other options. I mean, maybe Chris Middleton, I guess. I guess we can start with Giannis. I mean, he should have an absolute monster game, assuming his illness is behind him. 11,400, by my favorite play at the highest price tier on this entire slate. Should be asked to do pretty much everything for the Milwaukee Bucks with all these guys out. So I do like him quite a bit, especially with Holiday out as well. He should have triple-double upside at the minimum. So he's my favorite play here. And then I'm also looking at, I touched on Chris Middleton at 7,900. Should have a nice effort, coming off 43-point effort with no Giannis in the lineup. switch out Holiday for Giannis. I still like Middleton a lot. Under 8K, should be plenty of value left there. So I like both those plays. And then I'll throw in a tournament play as well, and that's going to be Jordan Nwora. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get in this game, coming off a 40-minute game with no Giannis. With DeMarcus Cousins being waived, I do feel like Nwora is going to get additional minutes that he normally wouldn't get. So therefore, I do like him as well at 5K. So those are the three guys I'm looking at in Giannis, Middleton, and a little bit of Jordan Nwora. Who are you looking at? Are you looking at Giannis at all?
Yeah, and I love Giannis in this one. 11-4. This was a must-watch game, first off. But now without Holiday and there's no other wings, point guards pretty much on this team, Giannis is in line for a triple-double here, a massive usage playmaker. He's going to be doing a little bit of everything here. So I absolutely love Giannis. We just mentioned Joel Embiid is only $200 cheaper. I would much, much, much prefer Giannis in an upside game here. You mentioned Cousins, and I didn't understand that. What is the point of waiving Cousins? He'd been playing really well for them, and they needed a backup center anyway. But that's another issue. But I'm going to say Giannis, Middleton, Portis, Nwora. Those are the four starters we know of. And then the fifth one, I don't know. Maybe Wes Matthews, maybe Ojale. I don't know how they play this. Rodney Hood. Not sure how they're going to play this. But yeah, I think Middleton is also in for a great spot. There's just a lot of playmaking and facilitating to go around. They need multiple here. Middleton is either going to be the first or second. I think it's going to be probably a lot of point Giannis and then point Middleton. So I really like both of them in this one as well. And you mentioned Nwora. He should be in line for a ton of minutes with all these wing players out again. At 5K, I don't think that's a super high price tag to pay. And then I'm just, who the heck is going to draw that last starting spot? That's interesting if you want to take a flyer there, but I'm rather just paying up for the higher price guys in this one. All right, jumping on over to the other side of the ball, we saw Kyrie come back, played his one game for his debut, played 32 minutes, dropped 22 points on 17 shots, and now they're back home, so he's not going to play. And now we can look right back at KD. 10-3 for KD, 10-6 for Harden. I'd prefer KD in this one. We saw these guys go at it. It's going to be a personal battle, him and Giannis again. I want some exposure to both of them. I think KD could be in line for a blow-up game here. Nick Claxton at 5K isn't that bad. And we saw David Duke with a surprise start in Wednesday, even with Kyrie back. He got the surprise start. But for me, I'm just mainly sticking with Durant, and then I'll see how the rest play out. There's 9 games, so I don't think we have to force in a lot of these guys here. How about you, man?
Yeah, when it comes to the Nets, I'm probably looking at Kevin Durant. You mentioned 10,300 is a pretty great price tag for Kevin Durant, especially with no Kyrie in this game. I do like his upside. I'm with you a little bit more than James Harden. I think it's a great matchup for him. Should have 60 to 65 point fantasy upside here. So I'm rolling with Kevin Durant. And then outside of him, I'm kind of with you. There's not a lot of any other guys that really pop off the page for me. Nick Claxton's always intriguing from a fantasy perspective at only 5K, but he hasn't been getting those 30-minute games anymore with LaMarcus Aldridge back in the lineup. So that's something to monitor moving forward from a daily fantasy perspective. Is he going to get minutes? If he gets 25, 30 minutes, I like Claxton at 5K in this game, but I just don't trust him enough. So definitely more of a tournament play. The only cash game staple I'm going with is going to be Kevin Durant.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using GetUpside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the GetUpside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code MONEY for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code MONEY for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MONEY.
I like it. Now let's jump on over to the next game of the night with a lot of people out again. We have at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time the Utah Jazz traveling across country and out of the country to take on the Toronto Raptors. On the injury report, we have for the Raptors just a couple: Dragic, Bongo, Watanabe, all out. The Jazz have Bojan, Conley, Ingles, Mitchell, all out. And then we have Whiteside, O'Neal, Gay, Clarkson, all questionable. And I missed Gobert. He's also out. So pretty much everybody that is mainly in the rotation is out or questionable for this one. You get the luck of the draw, my friend. How you looking at on the Jazz side of the ball?
Yeah, with so many guys out, it's going to be tough. I'm actually looking at Jordan Clarkson if he plays. If Clarkson plays, he's going to be an absolute smash play with 500. There's just not a ton of ball handlers, scorers, pretty much anything for the Jazz at this point when they travel to take on the Raptors. So I'm going to have a lot of shares of Clarkson at 5,500. And then I'm also going to be looking at Rudy Gay. If he ends up playing at 4,000 in the front court, I like him quite a bit. Despite his questionable tag, he should get a lot of minutes, should get close to 30 minutes again in this game. And at that price, it's near minimum value. So I do like Rudy Gay quite a bit. Those are the two guys I'm looking at. And then finally, I'm going to wrap it up with another value play in the front court, and that's Hassan Whiteside at 3,500. Should start in this game, ideally, against the Raptors, and should put up enough value. Despite playing 20, 25 minutes in this game, I still see him hitting value at 3,500. So those are the three guys I'm looking at. Again, they're all questionable, so please monitor lineups and confirmed who's in and out before we lock those guys in. But definitely a lot of value here on the Jazz side of the ball.
Yeah, and I'll throw in Royce O'Neal as well at 4,100. Those four guys, if they play, they should all start, but all four of those guys are questionable. So we need to know the status of these guys before they tip off. If a couple of them play, I'm with you. They're all in play for me. Great prices. Clarkson is the highest priced at 5.5, then O'Neal second at 4.1. Whiteside's 3.5. Rudy Gay only 4K. They're all fantastic plays if they play. If some of them miss or don't, then you're just going bargain bin hunting for tournament pivot plays and punt plays there, because people like Trent Forrest, Eric Pascal, Azubuike might be thrust into premier roles right there. So definitely keep an eye on that. Even Brantley, those guys I'll keep an eye on if any of these guys miss. But if they do play, I'm going right after the four that are questionable, just like you, man. And jumping on over to the other side of the ball, we went from the Raptors had everybody in protocols to they are fully healthy now. Normally, this is a tough matchup against the Jazz, but everybody on the Jazz is either out or questionable, so it's not that tough anymore. Pascal Ciakam and Fred VanVleet have been playing fantastic. Right now, take your pick. They're both playing great. I would go with VanVleet. I think it's a solid matchup there as well. I know it's a 500 more. OG under 7K is not bad. I don't know how close this game's going to be with everybody on the Jazz out, though, and then a couple of their other integral players who are going to start, if they're healthy, questionable. So I don't know if I really want to get too much exposure here, but if I do, I'll go right at the top in VanVleet and Ciakam. And that's probably it for now. I don't know what Utah is going to throw out there, and it might just be a blowout. If Jordan Clarkson misses, this game isn't. I can't imagine it being close. But how about you, man? What are you looking at over here?
Yeah, I think it's all contingent on who's playing for the Jazz, which you called out. I mean, if this ends up having some players in the Jazz, it might be worth a shot at Fred VanVleet 9,500 or Pascal Siakam in 9K. Both guys you mentioned have been playing fantastic basketball recently. I just don't trust either, especially in a 9-game slate. I would much prefer a guy like OG Anunoby at 6,700, under 7K, a mid-tier player that you can fit into your lineups. If he gets 35 minutes of action, he definitely has plenty of upside. And I think he can potentially break this game open with his ability to get some points, rebounds, and a little bit of defensive stats as well. So I'm looking that direction. Really, if anyone in the Raptors, and then I might throw in a Svi Mikhailuk at 4,500, which is more of just a play in case it becomes a blowout. But otherwise, I'm not going to have too much interest in the Raptors side of the ball here.
Every time I hear Mikhailuk, I just think of Street Fighter. I don't know. Like he'd scream it every time he takes a jumper. Mikhailuk! That's just what it makes me think of. Awesome. I like it. But let's jump on over to the next game of the night, man. We have first game at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a few at 8 p.m., 3 of them. But first one we have is Washington taking on the Chicago Bulls. On the injury report, we have quite a few people. Again, Alex Caruso, Tyler Cook, Javonte Green, Patrick Williams, Thomas Bryant, Anthony Gill, Rui Hachimura, Brad Wanamaker, Tremont Waters, Cassius Winston, all out. Questionable is Montrezl Harrell, and doubtful Davis Bertans. No spread for this one yet, but I will throw it over to you, my friend. What are you looking at on the Wizards side of the ball?
Yeah, on the Wizards side of the ball, it's interesting. Bradley Beal's coming off a game where he didn't really do much in his 30 minutes of play. He only had 44 fantasy points against the Rockets, uncharacteristic, foul out even. So I do expect a bounce back against the Bulls here. The last game against the Bulls a few nights ago on New Year's Day actually put up 63 fantasy points. So I do like Bradley Beal at 10,400. I expect a big bounce back performance out of him. I'm also looking at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at 5,500, coming off a 48-point fantasy effort against the Rockets. I don't expect a similar effort, but I do like his ability to shoot the ball, get some blocks, get some steals as well to boot. So those defensive stats are very valuable for us. So I'm looking at Caldwell Pope in that mid-tier value as well. And then the final guy that I'm looking at on the Wizards side is, I hate to say it, but it's going to be Kyle Kuzma at 8K. Despite a relatively poor performance of only 40 fantasy points against the Rockets, he had a couple games there. We had 60 and 66 fantasy points and 53 fantasy points. So Kyle Kuzma at 8K might be a great option, despite playing a tough Bulls team. He's been playing some fantastic ball. So those are the 3 guys I'm looking at on the Wizards side. It's going to be Kyle Kuzma, Bradley Beal, and I'm going to sprinkle in some Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Any interest in Bradley Beal for you?
Slight interest, but not a ton. I'm looking. I see KD at $100 cheaper, and I really would just rather go that out of the guys we mentioned so far. To be honest, unless Montrezl Harrell plays, which I think that price tag 4.6 is super cheap, and there's minutes available for him if he plays. I'm not really interested in many of these guys on the Wizards. I think everybody's slightly priced up to where they just out of my range for me. So I'm probably not going to have much exposure at all on this side of the ball unless Hero plays, because I really like that $4,600 price tag. I don't hate people going for Beal or Kuzma. KCP's not too expensive, but I'm probably going to shy away from over here. Right. Jumping on over to the other side of the ball, I think it's a little nicer over here. I do really like Vooch at 9,100. And I forgot to mention Gafford. Revenge game, always something to keep an eye on. If Harrell doesn't play, I like him a little bit, but I still think that price tag is just too high to in the mid 6Ks where I don't want to fully go there. But we have 3 guys in the 9K range, the big 3 on the Bulls squad here. I think Vooch is the best priced in this matchup. I really like the 9,100. He's been playing really, really solid lately, grabbing a ton of rebounds. This is a solid matchup for him. I like it. Now that everybody's back, we see, Alex Caruso's still out, so that helps Kobe White still continue to get minutes in the mid to high 30s, which he's been really crushing it lately. The last 4 games, outside of the last one, he didn't do much outside of scoring 17 points, but he's been really killing value at 5,300. I think we could take a look there. Outside of that, it's very hit or miss on the other players outside of the big 3, Lonzo and Caruso when he plays. I mentioned Kobe White, but everybody else is hit or miss in their games. The minutes aren't always there, so I'm probably not going to have much exposure outside of Kobe White and Vucevic here.
Yeah, I definitely circled Vucevic as a prime target here, 9,100. It has 50, 55, even 60-point upside here against the Washington Wizards. Should have a double-double by halftime, just based on percentages. So I do like him quite a bit. I also have a little bit of interest in DeMar DeRozan at 9,200, although we haven't seen a real signature performance by DeMar DeRozan since the clock turned 2022, actually. So I expect that could happen here against the Wizards. This could be a great opportunity for him. Definitely more of a tournament play for me. And then the last piece of the Bulls puzzle that I'm looking at, you mentioned Kobe White for 300. Should get plenty of minutes. They'll get 35, 40 minutes here. Has a pretty safe floor in this game, so I do like him. So I'm definitely looking at Vucevic as my just stalwart cash play, and then let's sprinkle in some tournament action for Kobe White and DeMar DeRozan.
All right, I like it. And now we will jump on over to the next game at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Houston Rockets. Battle of Texas. We have on the injury report Willie Cauley-Stein, Boban, McLaughlin, Porzingis, Isaiah Thomas, Brooks, Garuba, Sengun, all out. And Luka is doubtful again with that pesting injuries. I'll throw it over to you, man. What are you looking at on Dallas's side of the ball? Likely without Luka and Porzingis, their top two dogs.
Yeah, I don't know how this game stays close, which makes it interesting, but I do like Jalen Brunson. We've seen what Jalen Brunson can do at 7K. Should get plenty of minutes. Do I see a huge performance here? Not necessarily, but at 7K, that's a pretty good price tag for him. It should get 35 to 40 minutes here in this contest. So I'm definitely going to be looking in that direction. And then from a value perspective, I'm also going to be looking at Trey Burke at only 3,300, coming off the COVID-19 protocol list. If he gets minutes, which he should get some minutes in that backup point guard position, I do like his price tag at 3,300, so I'm going to have some shots there as well. And then in the front court, I'm probably going to be looking at a little bit of Dorian Finney-Smith at 5,300. He's coming off a nice game where he had almost 34 fantasy points, and his price tag actually dropped. So I do like Finney-Smith as another player that can put up some points and get some rebounds for the Mavericks. Someone has to here. So I do like Dorian Finney-Smith as well. So those are the three guys I'm going to be looking at. I'm not going to have as much interest in Maxi Kleber. Maxi Kleber is always a popular name to throw out when we talk about lineups and DFS, but I just don't see him having too much of an impact here against the Rockets. So those are the three guys I'm looking at. What about you?
Yeah, my favorite play on this side of the ball is Tim Hardaway Jr. at 51. With no Porzingis, no Luka, we can look at Brunson. 7K is still a little pricey. Tim Hardaway Jr. at 5'1" seems like super good value. He should get 15 to 20 plus shots in this game, to 20 shots with the potential for more in this game. Houston is not the greatest of defensive teams. He should be open a lot. We know he's not shy, and they just need someone to step up. And a lot of times we've seen in the past, without those two guys, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy that steps up. So at 5'1", I will take a lot of chances on him, hoping that he hits his ceiling in this one. I think you mentioned a couple other guys that I like in Dorian Finney-Smith. Trey Burke is a guy you can look at, especially if he plays at 3,300. Shannon Brown possibly, but I like the Finney-Smith and Burke calls outside of Hardaway Jr. So I'm with you there. Jump on over to the other side of the ball. We have the Rockets. They're going to go against the Mavericks without their two best players. So there's some good things to look at here. We'll start with Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr., two guys that have been playing a lot and have been in and out of the lineup because of issues that they have with the team. So keep an eye on that. I don't really want to go after either of those guys at the moment. I do really like Jalen Green at 5K. I think the price tag is just real solid still here. And Garrison Matthews is another cheap guy under 4K at 3.9 that plays good amount of minutes, gets a lot of shots, and they're mainly threes. So I can look that here. I'll probably take some chances on a Christian Wood, but the way that they've been in the news, it's not the greatest. But at 7-1, his price tag is kind of cratered from where it was not too long ago. So I will take shots at him in tournament games. Not so much cash. How about you, man?
Yeah, I actually like Christian Wood, 7,100, especially against the Mavericks front court. He's a guy that's coming off, obviously, some disgruntled issues with the team. He was suspended, and he came back and played 34 minutes and put up a nice little double-double against the Wizards. So I do like Christian Wood here at 7,100. He's one of my favorite plays in this game at that price tag. I'm also going to be looking at the other disgruntled player in Mr. Kevin Porter Jr., coming off a game winner despite shooting one of his staple 3 of 13 shooting nights, which we've seen a lot of in this season. But I definitely expect him to have a nice game here. They might have some renewed confidence. Hopefully that suspension really lit a fire under them. So I do like both of those guys. And then I'm also going to sprinkle in some Jalen Green action as well. The rookie's been playing some inspired basketball at 5,000. There's plenty of value there as well, especially if this game stays close. I do expect a strong performance from Mr. Green.
Right, I like it. Before we jump on over to the next game of the night, the last game at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I want everybody to know that we have a brand new daily fantasy partner at Sports Ethos, and that is Thrive Fantasy. Prop up with Thrive Fantasy on their mobile app or at thrivefantasy.com. Use code ETHOS when you sign up to get a 100% deposit match on your first deposit up to $100, plus either 2 or 4 free game tickets to play. Pick player props on the biggest names playing every night. Score points when your props hit, and the players with the most points win a share of the nightly prize money. I also want everybody to know that we have some great partners here. Take back your privacy with ExpressVPN. Head to our special promotional link at expressvpn.com/hoopball to get 3 bonus months on a 12-month subscription. It's the best VPN out there, hands down. I also want to let you guys know to use promo code hoopball20 at manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free shipping. Also, check out our pals at mybookie.ag and use code hoopball on the third page of sign up to unlock deposit match bonuses there as well. All of these things are tried and true, and I love each and every of these products. And yes, I have them all. But now let's jump on over to the last game at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. On the injury report, this is the lightest of the night, my friends. Leandro Bolmaro, McKinley Wright IV, Derek Favors, Jalen Horde, Isaiah Roby. That is it in this entire game. That's all we have is out. So I'll pass it over to you, my friend. What are you looking at on the Wolves side of the ball?
Yeah, when it comes to the Wolves, with everyone back, I mean, we can take some shots at Karl Anthony Towns in 9,900. He's under 10K, which is always fun to attack. I just don't know if this is the matchup because I do expect a potential blowout here against the Thunder. If it stays close, he might be worth a shot, but there are other guys at that center position that I much rather have in that high price tier. So I'm not going to be looking at too many Timberwolves players here just because everyone's back. Russell pretty much cancels out Patrick Beverley's value and vice versa as well. Malik Beasley has become a shell of himself as well from a shooting perspective. Anthony Edwards is always a great play at 8K. However, with all these guys back, I just don't see anyone exceeding their salary in this game. I think everyone's priced pretty fairly on the Timberwolves side of the ball. So I'm not going to be looking pretty much anywhere on this side. What about you? Do you have any interest in any of the Timberwolves players?
Yeah, and I think that it's a good matchup. I think people can beat their price tags, but I don't see a huge ceiling game. Like Towns, we mentioned Vooch, and we mentioned like a KD or Embiid. You can go up or down, and I'd prefer a couple of those other guys instead. Even Giannis is close in price, I guess. Edwards, I don't think 8K is that crazy, but I don't know if he's going to really put up a 50-point game to where I want to pay 8K for him over other guys near that range. Russell, same. The only one guy that I'm really looking at here is Jared Vanderbilt at 4,800. I think everybody's fairly priced. I think this is a little too cheap for him. When he plays, and we'll just look at the last 3 games coming back from the time off or excluding the first game back, he's averaging 30 minutes. We know this guy rebounds the ball a lot. Doesn't put up too many points, but if he puts up 10 points, you're looking at over 30 plus fantasy points, and I really like the value here. So that's the one guy I'm really targeting on the Timberwolves. I'm with you for the most part. And then jumping on over to the Thunder. Similar story. We have Shai back, Giddy's back, Dort's off the injury report. So Jerome is too high priced. Wiggins kind of gets a dent. Everybody's back. We saw Getty go off without Shai, but everybody's back. Their prices are a little high. Shai and Getty, the matchup's good, but I don't really want to pay that price tag at the moment. I do think Bazley's price tag at 4-1 is pretty cheap. If he's playing 25 to 30 plus minutes in this one, I think that's a price tag that I'd attack. James Robinson Earl, if he's ready to go, his full allotment of near 30 minutes at 3,300, that's a very, very cheap price tag. And that's probably it. I think we have some value here, but I don't really want to attack the expensive guys. How about you?
Yeah, it's tough for the Thunder. I mean, I love Josh Giddey. I think he's a fantastic play normally. With all these guys back, it's really hard to trust the rookie here in this game. I'm not going to be looking pretty much anywhere else on the Thunder side of the ball. I mean, Darius Bazley is a guy that I do like typically, 4,100. If he was under 4K, I would definitely have a little bit more interest in Darius Bazley. I just don't see him hitting value at 4,100. He might do it, but he's more of a tournament play for me. So I'm not going to be looking too far into the Thunder front court. Same thing with James Robinson Earl as well. I'm not going to have a lot of interest there. Shai, under 9K is always interesting. But I think now with Giddey getting more and more comfortable in his rookie season, I don't think Gilgeous-Alexander has as much triple-double upside as he once did, making him more of a tournament at best play as well. So I'm with you. I'm not going to have a ton of interest here on the Thunder side of the ball either.
All right, I like it. Jumping on over to the next game, the only game at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Sacramento Kings taking on the Denver Nuggets. We actually have a spread for this one, 225, and the Nuggets are 7-point home favorites. We have a doozy of an injury report. We're back to that. We went from barely anybody to a lot of people. Vlatko Kinkar, PJ Dozier, Marcus Howard, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Sean Holmes, Lewis King, Chimezie Metu, Queta, Ramsey, Woodard II, all out. Terrence Davis, Najee, Jeff Green, questionable. Aaron Gordon, Owens, Highland, probable. All right, man, I'll throw it over to you. What are you looking at on the King side with mostly healthy outside of a couple key guys?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the backcourt is finally starting to play well together with Halliburton and Fox. They're both priced at the same time. For the first time, I think, this season, 7,200, same price tag. So I'm actually looking at either guy. I wouldn't throw both into your lineup, but I definitely think both of them definitely have a ton of upside. Halliburton has more of a double-double upside, while Fox definitely has more of the scoring upside. So I'm looking both guys. They're probably going to cancel each other out for cash games, but for tournaments, I'll definitely take some shots at either of those guys in that backcourt. Buddy Hield at 5,600 is also going to be a potential great play. Didn't do much from a scoring perspective against the Hawks in his last game out, but before that against the Lakers, he put up a 42 fantasy point effort. So I think this game can potentially stay close and stay competitive with a high scoring opportunity. So I'm going to be looking at Buddy Hield as well in my tournament lineups. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to have a lot of interest in Bagley at 4,600. He just doesn't do enough on the offensive side of the ball. And same with Damian Jones at 4K. Despite his value price tag, I just don't see him hitting that 4K value actually in this game against Jokic down low. So I'm looking at definitely going to be a Halliburton Fox kind of pick your poison there, and then a little bit of Buddy Hield to round it out. What about you on the King side?
Yeah, and I'm with you in the backcourt, Halliburton and Fox. I think both of them can bring back value here. They're both playing really well, and they're both not priced too high at only 7,200. We've seen both be priced higher than this. Fox has been priced higher than this a lot throughout the year. So I don't mind taking either or. I won't take both. I think Halliburton for the upside, Fox for more of a cash game. I think he's a little safer for floor, so I don't mind either of them. And then I also don't mind Bagley. He's been grabbing rebounds lately, the back-to-back games of 12 rebounds. He's not hitting any shots. He's shooting 2 of 10, 2 of 6, 2 of 9 the last 3 games. A couple of those shots fall. He adds in a block or a steal. He could be flirting with 20, near 30 fantasy points. So I don't mind taking a shot at him there. But that's it. Jones has a very good price tag. Tristan Thompson, some of those guys will play, but not against the Joker. I am okay taking a flyer on against the Joker here. And speaking of him, at $12K as the highest price guy on the floor, he's going to be playing mainly backup centers. Rashawn Holmes is out. Me Too plays power forward. He's out. There's going to be Jones, Tristan Thompson, Alex Len. None of those names scare me off of Jokic. We mentioned a couple high-priced guys before, like Giannis. We saw Embiid there. We didn't even get to LeBron, who's in the next game. But Jokic is in a smash-mouth matchup here. So if you have the money, definitely can't fault you from going there. You could easily put up 70 against these guys. They're not good on defense as is. But there are some options if you want to save a couple $100 here. Outside of that, depends on who's playing. If Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, Bones Highland miss, there's extra opportunity for people. Monte Morris, who missed a few games, then came back in the last one. He's very cheap at only $4,500, so he will be in play for me regardless. Will Barton possibly, especially if Aaron Gordon doesn't play. That's extra shots to go around for him, and he's only $5,800. But I don't think I'm going to dig too much farther after those two guys. How about you, man?
Yeah, it's tough. I think Jokic is in a fantastic spot here. You mentioned against the Kings' backup center positions. 12K, even though he's the highest priced player, I do like him. I think he's a little bit more valuable in that high price tier versus Joel Embiid. I'd rather pay up $800 and get Jokic. He should have a solid triple-double floor here. I'm not going to have any interest in Monte Morris or Campazzo because they pretty much cancel each other out. Now that they're both playing. Will Barton, 5,800, is also a guy that normally is a potential, but he doesn't have enough upside at 5,800. I think he has a solid floor, and I won't fault anyone for going that direction, but I don't think he's going to necessarily provide enough of that per dollar value upside that we're looking for here when we're building our lineup. So I'm probably going to be looking at Jokic and Jokic only on the Nuggets side of the ball here.
All right, man. Let's jump on over to the next game of the night. The first game at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. No spread for this one, but a doozy of an injury report again. Questionable, we have Bogdanovich, John Collins, Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, all questionable. Out, we have Chris Clemens, Gorgie Zhang, Solomon Hill, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Oliver, Justin Tillman, Anthony Davis, Jay Huff, Mason Jones, Kendrick Nunn, all out. And probable, we have Cam Reddish and LeBron James. I will throw it over to you. What are you looking at in Atlanta? And can we even evaluate fully right now knowing that people like Trae Young, John Collins, and Bogdo are all questionable?
Yeah, it's very tough. If Trae Young plays and we get assessment early on somehow, despite the fact that the 10 p.m. slate, a 10 p.m. starting time, it's going to get very difficult. If Trae Young plays, that's 100 and he gets 35 minutes. I do like him at that price tag, although I'd much rather trust Bradley Beal, $100 cheaper, just because we know he is playing. So as far as in the backcourt for me on the Hawks side of the ball, I like Kevin Huerter at 5K. Coming off the bench, he's starting to get a little more confident. We're starting to see that Kevin Huerter that we expected this season. And I do like him. If Cam Reddish plays, I still think Kevin Huerter has upside at 5,000. I'd much prefer him over Cam Reddish for 500. I'm also going to have some interest in Clint Capella, 8,200. I think he's going to be a guy that should have plenty of upside. If Trae Young plays, his upside even goes higher just because his ability to get the pass alley-oops from Trae Young. So I like Capella 8,200, especially if Trae Young plays. If Trae Young doesn't play, I'm going to be looking at Kevin Huerter at 5K, and that's pretty much it. But of course, we're going to have to monitor this injury news very closely as we get closer to lock.
Yeah, and the news is going to be key for this team. If Trae Young plays, he's in play for me at 10-5. The Lakers just can't. Point guard, Lakers, yes, it's a fantastic matchup. If he doesn't play and Bogdanovich plays, he becomes a solid value. Herder becomes a solid value. Delon Wright is going to start at 5,600. Don't mind those guys. I'd probably put it in Herder, Bogdanovich, Wright in that order. But if Capella plays, Capella kind of scares me a little bit. I think he could dominate in this matchup, but also we've been seeing LeBron James start at center. If John Collins plays, they can easily slide Collins over to the center and match up with this and go small. If John Collins doesn't play, they don't have as much luxury to do that. I know they have Okongwu who can do that a little bit better than Capella, but Capella would be in line for more minutes. So that, to me, if Collins' availability would matter for Capella. But yeah, I'm not too interested in a lot of these guys. I mentioned Okongwu. I don't mind taking a chance on him if Collins doesn't play at 3,400. But a lot of this is going to matter on who's playing and who's not playing. Gallinari, if Collins misses, and Bogdanovich gets a little bump there too at 4,600. It's very hard for me to evaluate on where I want to go fully with so many guys out. But like you mentioned, Trae Young, Herder right now I can look at, and then the other guys are depending on who's in, who's out. I guess I should say Trae Young's dependent on if he's in. But on the other side of the ball, we have LeBron James now at 11.6, and then Westbrook is super high. LeBron, that with the other players on the slate, I don't think we need to go to LeBron James. We can. Jokic is going to be in a fantastic matchup. I really like Giannis with no point guard on that team right now. There's a couple other guys, but there's guys right around his price tag, up or down a couple hundred, that I would prefer, and I think they're safer here. Westbrook might be in a smash spot with or without Trae Young. That's a solid one, but I don't really want to go to him too while he's still trying to figure out how to play with everybody. Malik Monk is near 6K now. It's just outside of my reach. I do think he's in a solid spot, but probably just going to leave, to be honest, not touch the Lakers in this matchup with everybody's price tag a little higher than I'd like. But how about you? Hello?
You know what? I am on mute. Sorry about that. Just the technical difficulties as it happens sometimes when the last games of the night. Apologies. So yeah, I'm definitely going LeBron 11,600. 11,600, he's definitely going to be in play just because the Lakers need him. He's been on a tear recently. He's had a couple games where he hasn't really performed, but I think that's still a great price tag for him. So I'm definitely looking at LeBron. That's it for me on the Lakers. It's going to be tough to find a lot of other value plays here. I'm not going to have interest in Russell Westbrook at 10,100. I don't think he's a great price tag. Malik Monk is getting too high in price, 5,800. I don't think there's enough value there for me personally to go after Malik Monk. And then Taylor Horton-Tucker, 4,400, also a guy that has some upside. I'm probably going to have him more for tournaments. So it's going to be LeBron for cash and little Taylor Horton-Tucker for tournaments for me.
All right. Let's go on to the last game of the night. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. The spread, we have a 216 game total, and the Cavs are 4-point home favorites. I'm sorry about that. The Cavs are 4-point road favorites. On the injury report, we have Taco Fall, Isaac Okoro, Ricky Rubio, Colin Sexton, Damian Lillard, TJ McCollum, Larry Nance all out. Cody Zeller questionable. Cedi Osman, Rajon Rondo probable to make his Cleveland debut. I'll throw it on over to you, my friend. What are you looking at the Cavs side of the ball?
Yeah, the Cavs side of the ball is interesting. It's going to be a very close game, in my opinion, against the Blazers, just because they're both a little banged up. Garland is back. 9,300 is probably a high price tag for him, but I still think he has plenty of value here. So I'm going to be looking at I'm definitely going to be going Darius Garland here on the Cavs side. Kevin Love is a little priced too high. He's priced too high, but I definitely think he's a great play. But honestly, it's going to be interesting because with the Cavs side of the ball, it's really going to come down to whether Evan Mobley 7,400 is going to have a ton of value. I do like a little bit of Evan Mobley at 7,400 in this game. I think against the Trailblazers, their front court is a little banged up. A lot of guys are coming back, but I still think that the rookie is going to have a ton of upside here. So I'm going to be looking at Mobley, and then I'm going to have some Darius Garland interest as well. His price tag is a little bit too high in perspective of other guys that we're looking at in that price range, but I do think they both are going to have some value. Those are the two guys I'm looking at on the Cavs side. What about you? Any interest in Darius Garland despite that high price tag?
Some interest, but I probably won't go too much to him. I think the matchup is solid, but I probably won't have too much of him with that price tag. I do like the front court, Allen, Love, Mobley, in that order. I think they all have solid matchups here, and you can expose the Blazers in the front court. Could usually expose them in the back court too, but I do like the options that they have right here on the front court. I really like Allen in this matchup to hit value and probably get 45-ish points. Mobley, I think he's in a good spot. Love has just been playing awesome lately. He's been playing so good. But I don't know when that's going to end, so I'd rather just go after Allen and Mobley here. Outside of that, not really interested in anybody. I might take a shot at Rondo just to see how he plays. He's going to only play 20 minutes at 3,300. But I really just going to stick to the front court for the most part and move on to the Blazers. On this side of the ball, Norman Powell, Anthony Simons, they're playing really well. Nasir Little. I really like Simons. The last two, he's all the way up to 6,200 now, and rightfully so. Last two games, he's had over 105 fantasy points combined. Read something that his grandfather died before the 43-point explosion, and then he followed up with another 28-7 game. I think he can continue doing that even against a tough matchup, so I don't mind taking a shot there. Nasir Little at 4,800, he's been playing pretty solid. The guy plays a ton of minutes. He does the dirty work. And when his shots fall, he hits value here. Even in the last one, 4 of 12 shooting, he still put up 22 points near value, so I don't mind him. But Robert Covington's another guy I'm really looking at. We know Nance has been starting, but Nance is not going to play in this game. He's only 4,300. He's another guy who does a lot of the dirty work, but when his shot falls, he does a lot better. So I'm going to take some chances on him. And those are probably the three guys that I'm mainly looking at in this matchup. How about you, buddy?
Yeah, when it comes to the Trailblazers, I'm definitely with you for the most part. I do like Anthony Simons, apologies. And yes, that is a great story. It's a sad story with his grandfather dying, but he definitely played well, and he's been playing some fantastic inspired ball because of it. His price tag has jumped $900 since the last game, but I still think there's some value there just because Lillard is out of this game. And McCollum, as we know, is out as well. So I do like some Anthony Simons here in this game. When it comes to anyone else in the Blazers, Nasir Little, I just don't think he does enough from an offensive perspective to really move the needle despite his under 5K price tag. I'm not going to have a lot of interest in this game for him. Norman Powell is just priced too high, 7,100 for me to take any shots there. I'm actually going to be looking at guys like Yusuf Nurkic here. I think he's going to battle nicely with the Cavaliers. If he can stay out of foul trouble, that's a big if. I'm going to like him even more at that 7K price tag. I think he does have some huge upside if he can stay on the floor. And then I'm definitely going to have interest in those two guys. And that's pretty much it on the Blazer side of the ball. I'm not going to have a lot of interest anywhere else. I just don't think there is enough value here for the Blazers.
All right, I like it. Now, before we head on here, let's throw out our player tiers. We'll run through them really quickly. Who is your favorite high-price play of the night?
Favorite high-price play of the night has to be Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 11,400. Should be the highest priced player. One of the highest priced players in the slate, and I think he should have a smash opportunity against the Brooklyn Nets.
Right, I like it. And I'm going to go right on the opposite side of the ball, a little bit cheaper. Kevin Durant, 10-3. We saw these guys battle in the playoffs last year. We saw these guys are battling for best player alive. I think they're going to be putting on a show tonight, and I really like it. All right, man, what about your favorite mid-tier play of the night?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a lot of slack for this one, but I do like Kevin Porter Jr. It's $6,300. I think he is hopefully turned a new leaf after coming off a suspension, after coming off a game winner. I think he has renewed confidence. I like him here against the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I like it. And I'm going to go on the very, very cheap side here. Tim Hardaway Jr. They're going to get weirdly, I did not plan that to go opposite team twice. But
here we go.
Here we are. Opposite team. Tim Hardaway Jr., no Luka, no Porzingis. Fantastic matchup. Only 5,100. The upside is evident. So I will take a lot of chances on him in tournament games. All right, buddy. How about your favorite mid or value play of the night?
Yeah, there's so many great value plays that we touched on. It's hard to really pick one. I'm probably going to have to go with a guy on the San Antonio Spurs, and that's going to be Lonnie Walker if he plays at 4,100. If he doesn't play, I'm going to throw in a bonus option, and that's going to be Trey Jones at $3,600.
I like it, and that was who I was going to pick. So give me 1 second and flip on over to somebody else quick. Now I'm scrambling. That was my favorite play. I like Matisse Thybulle with a lot of the guys. Oh, I did not plan this again. With a lot, so we're just going opposite teams. But with a lot of the guys,
we're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I may have. With everybody out on the Sixers or questionable, Thybulle's coming back. He should be seeing 35 minutes in a very friendly matchup. I like him too as well, under 4K. All right, that does it, buddy. We just went opposite. But before we head on here, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just want to say that this is a 9-game slate, everyone. We're going to absolutely kill it tonight. And I hope everyone cashes, everyone listens cashes, and it's going to be a fantastic night of NBA basketball as always.
I love it. All right, you heard it here. Everyone is hopefully cashing on this one. But thank you guys as always for tuning in. We will catch you again next time. Peace out.